Hello.
Hello.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Oh, same.
Okay. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're going to introduce ourselves. My name is KT James. This my name is this. My first name though is Carrie. So I normally use Carrie. Um, Desi, do you want?
Hello. I am Desiree. My name is this. I am deaf, so I will be voice off. Oh, I am Katie. I am an interpreter, so I will be voicing for Desi. And I'm so sorry about my cold, so my voice sounds weird.
And we have a special guest tonight. So I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Amelia. My last name is Loken, and my sign name is Amelia Loken, A-L. Yep, by my mouth, yep.
I like
I
that.
have a funny story to tell you later if you want about my sign name.
Yeah. Okay, so that's everyone here. Perfect.
Okay. Hopefully more people will join.
Yeah.
I need to remind people on TikTok. So if you're not aware, we were struggling with the videos working for Katie, and we weren't sure if Amelia's would have a video too when we wanted. Hard of hearing here, deaf there, hard of hearing. Like, we needed to have the videos and the interpreter, of course. Desi, do you want to introduce what we're doing?
I'm sorry, what did you say? It's a
Oh,
little blurry.
do you want to tell everyone what we're doing tonight?
Yes. Hello everyone. I'm so happy you could join us tonight. This is a very special event, this live. We have Amelia Loken, who is the author of the book Unravel. So that book, I have it. There you go.
Perfect.
That book. Yay. Yeah, so we just finished reading that book with our book club, the Definitely Readers. And we've discussed so much in depth, and also we've chatted. Oh, sorry, Carrie,
Oh, yes.
do you want to start with the
Okay,
questions?
sure. The book club Definitely Readers, and yes, it's a play on words. We had them give us some questions and just about the book. So I thought first we would do most of the questions about the book, and then after that we would do some of the other questions. Now we sent Amelia looking about 50 questions just to prepare her, but we're not going to do them all. Okay, so, and this was one from the group, and they were curious. What was your thought process when you created the book?
So I feel like I'm a little bit like that bird that's called a magpie, where I'm just like collecting all these different ideas that are out there and kind of bringing them together, and then like kind of sorting through them and trying to figure out what would be fun to try to like play with and try to see like how it can grow and develop and become something like a story. So if you have finished reading the book, you know that I have kind of linked it in with the Christmas song, the 12 Days of Christmas. Yes. So it actually
Okay, I thought
started
so.
with the foundation of that, but
Okay.
you don't see it until like later in the book. But it started off and it was so short. But I was trying to imagine what would happen if that book, or I'm sorry, if that song was like really had like a foundation of something real and what that would look like. So that was kind of fun. And then so I had like developed this full like story, and I like related it to some things that were historical. And then when I had brought it to a literary agent, one time at like a book conference, they're like, so is it real or is it fake? Like, which one? And he's like, you need to choose which one it is. And so at that time, I'm like, I don't know. And he's like, that story is basically fantasy, but without magic. Do you think you could like invent some magic and like stuff it in there? And I'm like, I don't know. But
that's cool.
I had recently been watching, you know, the TV show Avatar, the last Airbender. So I've been watching that recently with my kids. We have it on video, like the series there. And so we've been watching it again, and I love the idea of air and water and, you know, stone and fire and all of that. And so I was thinking like, okay, if I did some magic that had like the 4 elements. Anyway, so it just like, and it became like this much bigger thing. And I started like trying to figure out ideas of who would have magic, who would not. And anyway, lots of fun.
Okay.
Yes.
So I actually had thought that it wasn't supposed to be the song. That was because I thought it was the brand hair. That was the big part. And so I didn't like, I noticed the song, but that's you know, that's really cool that was the first thing that like made you create the book.
That was the seed that I planted that became this huge big old thing.
The Valonian oak.
Cool.
Yes.
Desi, I'm sorry, you were signing something.
Yeah, I was saying, as I was reading it, you know, some parts, like with Christmas, I was like, huh. It kind of made me think of the Christmas song, and I think that's what you're saying. Sorry, it's a little blurry. The
character
Tease.
Is it pronounced Tease or Tice?
I pronounce it Tice.
Okay, because
like flying it and then adding an S. So that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've said it wrong though.
Okay.
That's fine.
So yeah, I like your what about
the sign name for
the sign
The
name
hair
for the character?
The hair combs? Yeah.
Sorry, it's freezing.
I saw that she has magic combs, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the same as
like a coconut implant?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Or a Baja. And that's really cool. That's really cool.
Yes.
How did you create that part, the magic combs? Like, what made you think about that?
Well, so as many of you know, so I was trained to become a sign language interpreter. And so I, as I was working on this story, is the same time that I was finishing up my training. So so that was around like 2016, 2017 when I was developing the story before it like really became like this huge thing. And so I was in classes, and we were really going deep in some of the things with like deaf culture and understanding like this, like the spectrum of like hearing, and then hard of hearing, and then deaf, and then like full deaf, and like all these different things, and then all the different like technologies and like history, you know, of various technologies that were used. And I was coming up with some magic. But what I kind of linked it to was the the bone conduction hearing aid. Yes. So and I have since used like now they have like the headphones, but it kind of goes behind, and and so it's like it's the bone conduction, like where you're listening that way, and I love it. It really helps me understand some things better than other technology. So as I would be trying to like imagine and like figure out like how it would work for me, my mind, I was connecting it to basically hearing aids and like the Baha, like that.
So now, since you said the headphones, when she has the coronet, is that why you changed it from the comb, or is it just because Tanya, the aunt or the godmother,
Yeah.
because she wanted her to be a queen and wanted her to show like not just have like the kid combs kind of thing.
Well, I knew that I wanted to have some time kind of in the middle, where Marguerite, where she would have some time like at the beginning with support with technology, magic.
Right.
But then in all good stories, you need to have some time when you're left with nothing, right? Where you need to experience life
Yes.
without the magic, without the support. Yeah, the struggle that's happening. And so that happened with the combs, having them taken. And then I wanted to also experiment with it being lost, because I know from the stories I hear about like hearing aids lost, like it happens all the time. But I wanted to like explore more about technology and assistance being taken, like language deprived, that happening, and then also having just life happens and you lose stuff, but then like the smaller combs versus like the coronet, and it felt like it symbolizes her becoming her full true self, and I love that idea, and I wanted to show that she is truly becoming a queen, but also steps, and also have the moments when like alone without the crown, without the combs, she still can do the work, she still can do the magic, she still can govern, she can do without. It's fine, like can do with, can do without, but it's always easier to have some kind of support, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. So when I read it, I thought that was so cool to have magic like hearing aids, you don't have to worry about batteries. Also, when she got mad and she found, that it was stolen and it was sold. Yeah, it felt like, you know, violate like she felt violated. That's part of me. That is, part of my life. She's so used to having it every day. So for that, to be sold, it's like, how she struggled through that and she found a way through. She learned, new language, the hand language, and how to speak. It's really, wow. It like touched my heart that I'm heartbroken for her and about the uncle, and how he violated her and damaged her. It's awful. Yeah, it's really sad.
I will say
Well,
that I enjoyed the self journey that Marguerite had, because at the beginning she did not tell like anyone that she was deaf, that she couldn't hear. She kept it private. Like, she struggled to hear even with the combs, but she didn't say anything. And at the end, she finally like learned to accept and recognize and be proud that she was deaf, that she had magic, and that she was a woman. Like, you had all three of that, is what in my mind, that was what the story was really about, was her journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a little bit of romance, but it was very light, and it was very appropriate, in my opinion, for young adults.
Yeah, I felt like that journey, the self-discovery and herself developing and becoming her true full self, that was, of all the things, that was the most important. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So when she, really, when it started, like with the hand language, I know, we sign ASL, but that universal, is it like ASL or is it like a different hand language?
So that's a good question, because I know of, the history of ASL and how before, it has the basis from French Sign Language.
Right.
And I believe there's like 300 sign languages all around the world. And so I know that sign language is not really universal. I know that. But because I was trying to set this up in a European-like setting, I wanted there to be enough of like travel and trade and things that were happening where if people were coming in contact and selling and buying and communicating, that anyone who was using sign language would begin to have more commonalities, and so that would be kind of spreading and more in that region, that they would have kind of a universal sign language there. So if you traveled farther, would sign language look different? Yeah.
Okay.
But right now I'm kind of keeping it in my little corner of European-like world.
Like Martha's Vineyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, similar.
But like
And
France, Habsburgia, and
yes.
Bologna, they all, and I guess the Mivraean, they all use the same hand language.
Yes.
So
Yes. And also I think it was helpful, like I didn't plan it, but my brain figured it out. Having the I'm not saying it right, and it's my people that I've labeled
We had a lot
Mivraean.
of
The
discussion
people
about how to pronounce
who travel and do a lot of trading. So that group of people, because they're more mobile and they're I mean
are they
really,
like Romanian? Like
yes, it's similar to
the
the Roma
gypsies.
people. Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's similar. That's where the idea seed is from. I tried not to make it really like super clear, because there is some bias that happens with the people. I was trying to be really careful with trying to be respectful and not steal identity, but that was where the idea is from. So because they're more of a traveling people, they're doing lots of trading and stuff, that I was thinking that would really help explain the background of how this language that is used often for their people, because they have a higher instance of deafness, hereditary genetics, that they would be able to spread that more and if there were different languages, other places in the areas that they were traveling to, that this group of people would help sustain a commonality that would be happening in that corner of Europe, like world that I've invented.
So we had a question pop up in the comments that said, and it was talking about the hand language, and it is, did Marguerite have to like adjust herself since she really couldn't use her left hand, like, or did like, because it wasn't really like explained, like she did have to do that, like with embroidery, yes, like she said that she didn't use her left hand, not really. Is more support, but for like hand language, like how did she adjust, or did she not? Is it magic?
Yeah, that's a good question, because so in ASL, as you all know, and maybe some of the audience knows, there's a lot of signs that use two hands. Sometimes they're used with the same symbol. So like if you're doing this sign, they look the same and they're moving in the same way. But sometimes they have like a base, and then they have an action hand. And so whatever your, like if you're right-handed or left-handed, you'll use that for your dominant hand. And so that's the one that's moving and using and showing, and that's what's happening. And then the other hand doesn't need to be as active. I have a friend that I have met with. One time he was my client, but I've worked with him and he's become a friend. And he has a few fingers that are, missing. They've been amputated because of two different accidents that happened for him. And he's a native signer. So I've watched and observed how he uses his hands, and I thought that was really interesting, how he's able to adapt using hands that, I mean, any deaf person, I imagine, would tell you that their hands are like super important for communication, right? So if one of your hands is not able to move or show like the shape in a normal way, how does that impact communication? So I borrowed a little bit, or used that concept of what I had in the past observed, and tried to borrow that for the character of Marguerite. There's something about one-handed that's
Yes.
printed there.
So the comment said, fully understand, like using one hand, you lose a lot of the context, like when you like first meet. So that was the same person who had asked the question, and just wanted to know, like, did she have to adjust? Like, could the hand language use one hand, and that kind of thing.
Yeah. Well, something that's fun for me, just watching other native signers, is when their hands are full, like they adapt, and so they'll have their baby and they'll be like signing one-handed, or you're carrying something and you're signing one-handed. Yeah.
Right.
I guess I should allow you to go ahead and speak for yourself. I'm sorry, I'm stealing. It's your experience. Go ahead, Desi.
Yes. So we have a question that we love. Each chapter had a description of the embroidery, different things. What was
Saw one of your hobbies.
Oh, one of your hobbies. So I want to ask you about that. All of your hobbies, embroidery, swordplay.
Swordplay.
You do swordplay? I thought that was cool. So both of those, are incorporated in the story. So what kind of embroidery do you do, or, the different things in the chapter?
So
How
yes.
did you pick which to use in the chapters?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. So I started learning embroidery back when I was a girl. I think I was maybe like 5, 6 years old. My mom started teaching me how to use it and had like this iron-on printing that she put on the fabric and taught me how to sew and how to follow the lines that had been printed. So I'd do that. And like the first one I did was like a picture of a cat doing some kind of like chore. Maybe it was like laundry or something. Anyway, so I learned when I was really young. And then for a time, like when I was a teenager and young adult, I didn't really do a lot of it. I was busy with other fun things. But when I became pregnant and started my family, there were times when I would just be sitting around taking care of the babies. And it was an easy way to keep myself busy as I was sitting for long periods of time. And I fell in love with it again, and I love it. And I was hoping to have some of my embroidery up on my wall so you could see it. I've embroidered pictures of Marguerite and Tice, but my collection of them, I'd taken them to an event, and I can't find my bag with all of my beautiful embroidery. So I feel so it's so terrible. I'm so sad. So, but I've done a lot, and if you are interested in seeing more examples, I'm a huge fan of embroidery. So on the website Pinterest, I have like one of the things that I do on there is I call it skein craft. I am not
From the book.
Oh, my finger pointing tonight is terrible. So if you look for me, my name is Amelia, and then millions, like million. And so one of the ones, and I have over like I think 3,000, 5,000 pictures of various different kinds. So there's like
Wow.
Japanese embroidery that's really like it's like patterned and really has structure to it. And then there's some like beautiful South American that's really like, I mean, gorgeous colors, and it looks like a painting. It's amazing. And then there's a lot of European with the various like folk styles of embroidery. So there's a lot of different kinds. There's artistic ones, some that look like someone's like drawn it, but it's with thread, and it's just beautiful. So yeah, it's been fun to kind of share some of my loves. And then the swordplay thing, I've always enjoyed watching movies with like swashbuckling and the Princess Bride. I love.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So when I started this book, it had a lot of swordplay that was happening, and as the book became so big, I had to like take bits out, and that was one of it because it was not centered to the story. So I have more of that in other stories that I've written. So I hope to have it in there. But yeah, I took lessons, and I went and I joined a club for about 2 years, and it was so much fun. It's really good exercise, and your thighs that you're squatting down like as you're holding it, so oh my gosh, when I would be finished, my legs, they would be like trembling because they were just so worn out.
So I
Oh,
love
we have
like I
one
love.
comment that's related to that question.
Okay.
Um, Someone said when all the girls started, oh, and in the beginning, they were told to embroider what was happening with the witch trial. They're, gonna burn the witches. That was powerful. Like, that imagery.
I was just gonna say, I love the fact that you have embroidered like parts of your book. So my goal is to publish. Like, I'm a writer. And the story that I'm working on, I actually cross stitch. So I don't embroider, but I cross stitch. And I learned from Katie, was one of the ones who taught me. Like, after a friend passed away, because she was a big cross stitcher, and this the part that I have chosen to cross stitch is a huge project, and I'm struggling with doing it. Like, my goal was, when I finished editing, to have it done too, but I'm not sure about that part. There was another question that said your writing style seems similar to hers, and she wanted to know, what was the word like count before you had to cut out?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yes, of course. I'm curious.
Okay, it was 170,000 words.
Wow.
So the book, as it's published, it has just a little bit more than 100,000 words. And that's about a 400-page novel. And so that's about typical for a YA fantasy. But if you're writing YA in like modern time, contemporary books, then those are typically around 70 to 85, 90,000 words. But fantasy, you can do a little bit more because you have to world build.
That
Right.
comment says they want to see that version.
Yes.
Someone says they want to see that version.
Where I'm at, I'm trying to edit, and I have around 150,000 words right now, and it is a fantasy, it's a YA fantasy, and I'm trying to edit it a little bit and cut, and it's so hard to cut out the words. Like, I can't. Okay, sorry.
It's hard. So for me, it was not at one time like taking out 70,000 words. No, it was doing it again and again and again, removing and removing and removing. And it helped that I have some good friends that are writers and some good beta readers, and so they would give me feedback, or they would give me feedback, and so they would tell me some things that were working or not working. So one woman who is in my writing group, I'd given it to her, and she felt like I had a lot of stuff in there that was not necessary. And then she got to a point where there was this whole side quest that was happening, and it was, I don't know, like 5 chapters, and I thought it was wonderful. It was more of the governor and like all this other like political intrigue that was happening, and like it was so much fun. And she was like, what is this doing here? She's like, I literally threw it across the room. It was too much. You'd already gone on so many side quests, and then you had this huge one. You have to get rid of it. You have to cut it. And I was like,
no, you can use that for another book in the same world. Like, you can make a book about the governor, right? Is that the
Could be in the second book?
Yes. Okay. So I have planned 3 more books for this for this world. So my plan is to have a story for Isabeau. Isabeau is next, so she's number 2. And then
we wanted to know more.
Yeah.
And the book number 3.
Where'd she go?
Yes. Because at the end of the book, she disappears. What happened?
With Willem?
Yes.
Yeah, Willem, maybe.
So I will be. So let me just finish one thing, and then I'll come back to the other thing. So the 3rd book would be Ferru Faruka, her story.
Fun.
And so there's some fun adventures that I am planning for her. And then the fourth one, the last one, would be for Renata, the one with the red hair. And she's younger, and so my plan is to have a little bit of like a 2, 3, 4 year gap there that she's able to grow up and then become ready for her own romance and story, because at the time of this book she's like 13 years old, right? So she's not old enough to have her own romance, falling in love with the person that she's, is going to stay with. So anyway, I have plans, but I will tell you honestly, Isabeau's story, I had a plan. I had it all like plotted out, but I will tell you. So there's hints in the book of what's happening with Isabeau and the fake king, and it's a little bit. It's possible that there was some, sexual assault that happened, and so I've had second thoughts about how to tell her story. And I live in a red state, and there's a lot of discussion about what happens if there's this kind of a situation. And I know that there are times when books get canceled or have negative reviews, and so I was trying to figure out how to handle that and do it well, and do it in a way that honors the character and her story, and maybe like come up with a totally different storyline for her. And I think I have the right idea now, but honestly it's been a struggle for 2, 3 years to figure out how to
2 years,
give
wow.
her a story that honors her experience that I imagine, and also give her healing in a way that is sensitive. So I'm still figuring it out, and so and at the same time I was also pursuing my my master's degree for the last 3 years or 2.5 years, and so I graduated a year ago, and so this year I've been able to do so much more writing, and I'm happier, and I'm more fulfilled, and it's wonderful. But I'm working on a different story because I was frozen with that story for Isabeau. I needed to divert myself to another story, and it's so much fun, and I'm enjoying it, and I'm almost close to being done with it. And so it's a totally different world. There's no magic, but there are dragons. So that's fun.
Okay.
Dragons. Yeah, I'm in.
Now, so I am curious. I'm deviating from the question,
That's fine.
but I'm curious. So will most of your, it is going to be deaf culture, will most of your writing include hard of hearing or a deaf character? Since you experienced hearing loss and you were an interpreter, like, will you keep including that in your books, or will it just show up sometimes?
That is my plan. So yeah, I have been slowly my hearing has been going down. So actually this past week, I finally was disciplined enough to go in and see a doctor about my ears. I went in like 18 months ago, and it was like, yes, you can go get some hearing aids. And then they kind of had a discussion, and at the time my insurance was not what I wanted. Anyway, so now I'm in a situation where I went in this past week, I sat down, I had my hearing tested, and I'm I will be receiving my first pair of hearing aids next week, and I'm so excited. And so yeah, I think that having the embodied experience of a deaf or hard of hearing person will be included in all of my stories moving forward. The
So
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes,
So like the
same.
book, yeah. So the book I'm writing right now, currently with the dragons, I have a dual point of view, and so one of the characters, the female, she is low vision, so it's a blind, able to see some, and uses special glasses for being able to see some things, and then and she has experienced disability for a long time and is used to it. And then the second character, the male character, the sweetheart, he has recently become hard of hearing, and he is trying to pretend that it hasn't happened because in this world, the ableism is such that if he reveals that he has a disability, his license will be revoked, and he will not be able to do the job that he's been doing. And so he's been keeping it quiet, but also at the same time, he's been, mourning the loss of his hearing. And so that has some of my personal experience of trying to, the emotional feelings of going through the process of understanding I had something before, and now it's not here. But also like the cognitive load of trying to figure out all of the blank spaces and trying to fill them in and figure out what's, like the lip reading, and trying to figure out what's being said and trying to understand the context, like that, like the figuring out. When I was sitting down and the doctors and discussing it, like, oh my gosh, I started crying. I'm like, it's so hard. When I was getting my master's degree, the first year, it was all online, so it was like fine, it was okay for me. The second year, but my third semester, I go in live, in person, and everyone's wearing masks. And
of course, COVID.
the first night, like I was, it was terrible.
Yes.
It was terrible. I cried as I was driving home because my brain was just so exhausted. I was just, yeah. So I called up disability support for my university, and we discussed a few different options, but we decided on having sign language interpreters. And so I used several people, but it was the same school where I had gone to school for my interpreter training. And so the people who were my interpreters were people that I knew from my schooling and my training that had been like a 1, 2, 3 years ahead of me in my schooling. And they were now, so I've been used to being the interpreter, and then I was switching seats, and now I was the client. And so there were some emotions there, but it was such a relief to finally be able to understand and be able to figure out what's happening in class. And it was amazing. It was so amazing, and I loved it. But I still have the experiences where I have to decide when I'm going to like self-advocate and when I'm just going to shut up and not say anything. And that is a complication that people with disability have to, like, they have to weigh their options, like every situation. Do I self-advocate? Do I just keep it quiet? Do I try to figure it out? Do I use some technology and not like bother other people, or have other people make me feel like I am costing them, because they have to pay for an interpreter. There's a lot of things that's all involved in that whole package. And so a lot of those things I've been thinking about and weighing and just trying to figure out in my own mind and my own heart and my own experience. And so it's been helpful for me to write it down. It's a way for processing. Not all of it is in the book, but a lot of those thoughts and feelings of loss, and then having a conversation between someone who is disabled and saying like get up and go ahead and do the thing you need to do, and the other person who's recently disabled saying no, you don't understand. And so having that conversation is also interesting to have in the book. And I don't know if it will stay the way it is as I've written it now, or if it will be changing, either myself editing it or other people editing it. I don't know, but that's a process that I'm doing with my writing right now, is that experience.
Yeah, I love that you use your experience and it's involved in your story. It's very emotional, but that's real, and people will feel that. In Unravel, it was really hard, touching, um, and I'm sure other books you're writing right now, hopefully
Will
be
be.
released soon. I don't know. We'll look forward to that. Uh,
I will say that. So I like I became hard of hearing when I was 5. Ooh, I'm using my phone. So, well, before that, but they found it in kindergarten, and I grew up in a hearing family. No sign, no deaf services, nothing. Like I was hearing with hearing aids, right? That was the term. And in my writing, I find myself doing the same thing as writing my experiences. It always gets added in. And one of the things it took me, I started learning sign in college. I went to college prep with Desi, and that's really like I saw it when I was 15 at a church, and I was like, sign language, like, okay. And they're like, and the deaf person that was there, they were like, why have you never learned? And I was like, I'm hearing. And they're like, no, you're not hearing. And it took me like, I was like, oh. And it took me like 3 years after that to really start learning to accept that. And
Yeah.
I have put that actually in my story that I'm working on, and it's where learning sign was the first time that I really started accepting that I'm deaf, that I'm hard of hearing, that I need accommodations, I need to support myself. And when I went to college, like I got like a cart. I didn't have an interpreter because obviously I didn't know sign yet. And I saw a difference in my learning because I was like, wow, I've missed so much. But I did see like it's the
yeah, you
same
deprived
thing. Like
a little bit.
the experience is very emotional, but it's very healing to write your experiences. Like it always comes in my writing. Um, Sorry for deviating a little bit, but
It's
I
fine.
was just curious. I'm hoping that that'd be awesome to know more about that story when it is released and everything. Um,
Yes.
And hopefully
Carrie,
it will be soon. We'll see.
yeah, hopefully let us know when it's released for sure.
Yeah.
Um, so Carrie, with your story about, not learning sign, I think it's similar to the character Marguerite,
yeah.
she didn't know sign. She knew a little bit, but, she was banned from using it. Her uncle, damaged her hand and scolded her for it, so it was illegal, but I was like, oof. Later, when she found it, that hand language, and she was learning everything, felt like it was all coming together. Everything was she realized that the uncle had lied to her and everything. So I'm honestly happy reading that he died at the end. Uh,
Yeah.
you know,
And I
Judgment
loved that
has
I
been
loved who
served.
like yeah.
yes.
And I liked that it was Ulrika, or how you say her name, because I thought that was like I don't know. It was justice.
Yes.
He had
Yes.
lied and manipulated her so much. And then now
Yep.
she's like, no, you're done. We're not going to let you maybe escape.
Yes. Exactly. One thing that's fun that I enjoy personally as I'm writing is the bad guys. You know, I'm going to serve them with the justice that I think they deserve.
Yes. Yeah, the end too, when he was released, it's like he was so mad the whole time, and Marguerite's
Oh.
mother. Oh, it's funny because let me back up. We were discussing on Discord. Yeah, what is wrong with them? Like, oh, Richard,
Who hurt
like,
him?
why is he so angry? Who hurt you? Uh, so yeah, it makes sense in the end. Ulrika,
Or
or
Roxandra? I don't,
I'm
how
not sure
you
the
So,
name.
say her
the
mom's
mom
name.
is Roxandra, yes, and then the other woman who is kind of like with Richard, her name is Ulrika. Yeah. So yeah. So this is a man who sees women as the reason he fails, right? So it's easy for him to just blame other people, but especially blame the women. And sometimes we see that in the real world. And so it was fun to be able to be sure that a man who is too blind for his own flaws was able to have justice in the end.
Yeah, we have a
Is that
question.
evil?
You
You can.
or
You're fine.
me?
Go ahead.
Me? Okay.
Good.
Um, so which character do you think or surprised you the most? Like your favorite part of their personality?
Okay, so here's the funny thing. When I was reading your questions, I was like, this one, I was like, oh, I know the answer to this one, and it's not going to be the person you think. It's the dog, Jacko,
Jocko.
because it
Why?
was only it was the last time I was writing it that I added in the dog, and then I had to like change a bunch of things because I added in the dog. And part of it was because like literally a month, 2 weeks before COVID like really like shut down everything, I had gone to visit a friend and her dog bit me, and so it bit me, and that dog was a huge it was a German Shepherd, and it was like so scary. It was terrible. And so I I stole that experience and I changed it so it's a
Not
small
stealing.
little dog. And I gave him a little bit of a redemption. So, I mean, the dog in the end has a little bit of a happy ending, but
Yeah.
also I was able to work through some of my own trauma that had happened with this dog. But and it was really like amazing that I was able to use this because there are so many situations where like the dog was like perfect for having adding more danger or the possibility of other people seeing them or noticing them or figuring out what's happening. And so the dog ended up being like perfect fit, but I had not, like the whole time I'd been writing the story, there was no dog. And I have loved, like I've loved dogs. My grandmother raised dogs and like trained them and like did all like they have like degrees for dogs, and she was included in this like club that did all these dog things as I was growing up at Helper, and I helped with the training. It was so much fun, and I love dogs. And then this experience just like it just kind of threw things off. So this was a way for me to explore some negative feelings in a safe way, but also like it just added more drama and interest to the story. So that character surprised me because I was not expecting to put in a dog.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect fit, because, it's like, why is the chasing and what the important part and the end and what?
Yeah, one of the men got the dog, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Um,
He goes to a
so
happy home in the end, and you believe that he's going to be like heal and be like rehabilitated.
Calm down a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, calm down a little.
So I'm gonna ask two. One is about the book because we missed it when we were discussing that it's gonna be, you're gonna have 3 or 4 books in the world. Would you do one for Marguerite's mom, like, and how
Like a
she,
prequel?
like a prequel? Like, would that be one of the ones that you would do, where you would show her, like,
That's
leaving the
I
island
see the thought
and
process, yeah.
that's a possibility.
but then we would see the Uncle Richard again. I don't know if we want to see
Yeah.
his
I don't
evilness
know.
So
again.
I have the backstory like in my head.
Okay. Um, I was going to ask just a
Well,
normal writing
I have the
question.
backstory in my head. So what I have planned. Okay.
Oh, if you want to discuss the backstory, that's fine.
Wait, did you say you had an additional question for me, or you wanted me to just
We can wait.
answer
We
that
can wait.
question about the prequel?
Yeah, you can answer the question about the prequel.
Yeah. So will you have a prequel?
Oh, I was just gonna say I have the backstory. Like I know it, and I was thinking of doing like a short story.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's awesome.
So so I have a different prequel that I have written that is all about Tice and like the month before he meets Marguerite. So all the
Mhm.
things that kind of lead up to the meeting and help you understand who he is, because for reasons as you read the book, at the beginning you don't know who Tice is. You don't know who he is or what the goal is or what his plan is. Like, why did he like end up there, show up there? Like, what's the reason? So it's all of his thoughts and his perspective the month before he shows up and why and the reason. So I have that story already written. I wrote it last year. Last year is when I wrote it. Um, so and then I just kind of put it aside because it's a short story, so it's not something huge. And there have been some changes. It seems like that's happening with my my publishing house. So I I wasn't sure what was happening, so I just kind of like put it on the shelf for right now. But I could do a similar thing with like a short story for the mom and dad and what happened with their story and how it happens, because I have it all up here. I just have to write it out.
Right. So you said, Tice, what kind of magic does he have? Because he's not very, like, he's not like the Skeen or Skine. He's not, the kitchen, the herb. He's not the forge. But what kind of magic does he have?
It's like the ropes, right? Like a rope magic, maybe? Or it doesn't really go into depth about his magic. What is it?
think we're lagging a little bit. Maybe. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So I think that we have a little bit of a delay. So I think there might be a possibility of a delay here. So I'm sorry about that. So yes, in my imagination, Tice has a similar gift as Marguerite, but his is just showing up in a different way. So yes, so with the ropes and his magic. So if I'm thinking about like the 4 elements, his is also air, same as Marguerite's. So the sewing and the thread and the ropes, they're all, you know, similar enough that's what he has.
Oh, someone commented
Fiber.
like
So
fabric arts
my
magic.
concept
Fiber
is that you know, there's the four different elements, but they can show up in different ways.
Okay.
That's cool. Desi is going to ask a question now.
Okay. So in the end, you know, that big war happens in the future. Sorry, something with the governor.
Do you think she'll try to take the do you think she'll try to
Yeah,
take the
just
country from Marguerite?
so in the end of the story, with the
The governor.
threat of war possibly in the future, the governor maybe will steal the country, Valoria,
So
maybe.
so
Yeah, I think we're a little bit delayed.
well, yes. So that is the big question, like the big top question at the end is what's going to happen with the country and with the governor and etc. And so my plan is to explore that further with there's a delay is with the other stories, so the other books. I want to show what's going to happen not only with the governor but also the emperor, who is really like the boss of the governor. So we'll see what his plans are and how that's all going to impact all of the different characters in the world.
That's cool. Okay, so I'm gonna ask a question about about books and writing. So a little bit deviating from your book, but what is your favorite genre?
What was the question about genre?
What is your favorite
Oh,
genre or
so
your favorite book?
okay. So if I'm writing, then fantasy. That's my favorite. But as I'm reading, what I have found is particularly since COVID has happened, I'm really picky about books that I'm reading outside of the romance genre. So I will read romance anytime, any day. Like, it's fine. I know I can trust that I will have a happily ever after with the romance. And I found for myself, like, emotionally, I needed to have a book that is not going to destroy me. So I need a book I can trust. So when I feel emotionally strong, then I'm able to do more exploring in other genres. But right now I've needed to really take care of my heart and my emotions. And so romance is where I go as a reader myself. But as I'm writing, I just love fantasy.
Me too. And like romantic fantasy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And like enemies to lovers, that kind of thing. Yes. Okay, so you have several.
Do you have more books published or just Unravel?
I think which one has been your favorite to work on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So right now I only have the one published book. And so I'll tell you, so I have been writing for 15 years. And so it was about 5 years ago when I was thinking to myself, like, the writing, I'm never going to get published because it's been so long, and nothing has happened. So that was when I received some advice from other people about going back to school and pursuing my master's degree for my day job. Sorry, I'm getting tired. And so it was 1 week before I started my first semester of my master's degree program when I received the email from the publishing house that was ready to publish this book, Unravel. So I was basically ready to give up my dream. And then my first year, thank goodness it was all online my first year. But that was the year when I was doing all of my edits and all of my reviews and all the things that I needed to do to be sure that it was ready for publication. And then I was in the middle of that semester where we were all in person with masks on when I was trying to like advertise, hey, my book is coming out like in a month, like come read my book. And I was so overwhelmed. There was so much going on, and I was trying to be like online all the time and really active in sharing about my book. So I think my book is with a small publisher, which is fine. I mean, it's been a really good and really positive experience, but I'm responsible for my own advertising and social media campaign, so it didn't go out very far, and that's fine. I'm hoping that in the future, as I'm able to write more and publish more, then I will have some really good books that are in my backlist for readers to discover and enjoy. Yes.
So, I know that we discussed a little bit about like your next book, and you've added in some experiences with hearing loss. What advice would you give to a person who has recent hearing loss? Like if you had anything that you would say, like the first thing that you would say for them?
Breathe. Your life is not over. So anytime there's loss through any kind of disability or like chronic illness or whatever, there's going to be grief. There will be, particularly if it's a new thing, or if there's a change, or like if it becomes worse, but breathe, because the world is huge and there's so many opportunities out there. And right now with the technology we have, we can connect with people who have the same lived experiences that we have. And I feel I mean, I just feel so empowered, being able to go on, to like Instagram or Threads or Facebook and find a community and find people who have the same experience and be able to share more like awareness with other people. So yeah, sometimes life sucks and it's terrible and you have a bad day and everything feels dark. Yes. Normal. Yes. But there's so much opportunity, so much technology, so many people we can connect with. We're not isolated, which, I mean, just looking back in our short history, isolation, that was included in any disability experience. And now there's so much opportunity to get connected and find your community, and that gives me hope. And personally, I'm just looking forward to having my hearing aids next week and being able to just enjoy more sound. I had to buy a new car, not new, but new for me car last year because my other one like broke down. I was on a trip and it broke down. I couldn't like go home, so I had to buy a car in the middle of Idaho. Um, but
Wow.
but one of the advantages with my new car is it has an amazing stereo system, like the radio. And so my husband doesn't drive with me normally, which is awesome because his ears are really sensitive. But me, I'm driving to work or I'm alone and I just crank that baby up and I'm listening to it. I could feel like the bass going. It's amazing. So there's so many wonderful things out there, and I'm just grateful for technology, for connection, for opportunities, and we live in a world now that people are more aware that if they're being stupid and rude, they're not going to be able to continue doing that for a long time. Like someone's going to speak up and say something and be like, ah, no, stop. You,
Yeah.
you can't continue. And so I'm grateful for that. So I have more hope than disappointment.
That's good. That's good. So let's do what, 2, 3 more questions because it is getting a little bit late and we don't want to keep you too long. But thank you for joining. So
I'm enjoying it.
Desi,
This is awesome.
do you want to ask 2 more questions and then I will ask one more?
So, your character story, which
one would you want to be and why?
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's hard. I think I would choose Tanya because she is so wise and brilliant and has power and is able to be. I mean, people have respect for her, and she already has all of this experience and has seen the world. And I know some of her backstory. Some of it is not happy. And as you saw, some of the story that's included in the book, some things happen that are really disappointing and traumatizing. But I mean, Tanya is amazing. So yeah, and now that I'm a little bit older woman, like I respect an older woman who has a lived experience and be like, yeah, I like that.
Okay, so my question is going to be about writing and your writing. What do you think makes a great story? Like, what do you need to have a wonderful story?
That's a good question. So from all of my time going to writing conferences and stuff, they say that you need to have a character that has a goal, they have some kind of motivation, and then they have an obstacle. So you have a person who wants something just intensely. They have a reason for that, whatever their backstory is, and they're going to pursue it, and then life gets in the way. You can't move forward, and they have to become flexible. They have to learn some things. They have to break down and then build back up again. So yeah, I mean, those are the basics of story. But for me, if you want to really like grab my attention, you need to have a little bit of romance.
Okay.
You need to have some kind of adventure, you know, like where it really feels like we're getting out of a normal experience that we'd have here in America, you know, with your neighbor and the grocery store and going to work and driving and like traffic jams and getting frustrated. Like, get me into a new world, something that's either shiny and amazing or something that's interesting that I'm like, ooh, I'm curious. I want to see and explore that more. So yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you. Desi, last question.
So I don't have a question, but I see
I
you
do
have
love
something behind you.
The poster behind you.
Yeah. So kind of off topic, but or from the questions, I'm curious. Your like most like touching experience or journey in writing.
She's a
Sorry,
little bit
so
blurry. Yeah, you're blurry.
Be
So, Desi, can you sign it one more time?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think it's easier. Yeah,
Now.
to come closer.
Okay.
My question. Your journey in writing this book, Unravel. What was your best memory of what you wrote, of how you wrote it and the journey?
Oh, it's hard to choose.
Is it meeting people, signing the books,
Oh, okay.
creating the world? Sorry, Katie.
No, go ahead. You're great.
Well, okay, so this experience here and the few others that I've had similar, where I'm able to just sit down and chat about my book and my characters and my world. Oh my gosh, I love it, because I have been in my world for years and I've become friends with these people and enjoyed it so much. And I've been waiting to share it with other people and chat about it and be able to get excited and have another person, you know, it's amazing, love it. So this is just like, filled my heart so much, and so these kind of experiences are awesome. And then I held it out. Oh, it's right over here. Hold on. Okay, I got my first fan mail this past week. Like, I mean, my book has been published for 2 years, but this is, I mean, I've had a few like texts and like emails, and like people have like posted reviews, right? But this is from a 12-year-old girl, and she says, I will tell you what she said. So she said, I am a big fan of your book. I can't wait for you to write a book after Unravel. Oh, and it's misspelled. It's so cute. I would love for us one day in the future to meet you. And she says, your book has inspired me to write my own book. My dream is to, in the future, become a writer or a journalist. And then she said, "Thank you for writing the book." And I was like,
You need to frame that.
yes, it's going to go right up here.
Yes.
Nice. So there was a comment and it said, we love having you here. I mean, obviously, we're so excited that we got to meet you and have a conversation about your book, because there was a lot of discussions that we did. We did like 5 or 6 like lives on TikTok about it, and we dissected at like each chapter and discussed what we liked, what we struggled with, the anger about the stealing of the combs and the everything. And it's been a really enjoyable because this is the first book that was voted on for the Definitely Readers book club, because we just launched it in April, and this was the first book. This is what they said. Yes, like a YA fantasy, perfect.
It's amazing
that you were willing to join and have a conversation about your book has just been a wonderful experience. And I know a lot of the people here are really excited.
And you see me, yes. And this book, so we had so many discussions and all that. Family. Oh, it feels like a family now.
Yeah.
From us discussing your book. We're so excited to just see you and chat with you. It's been a really amazing experience. So I'm so happy you could join us tonight.
Yes. And people can find out more about you on your Instagram. I think it's just Amelia Loken, right?
Yep.
It's just your name.
Yep.
And it's the same for TikTok.
Yep.
And you have a website too, I believe.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes. And I will tell you, my website, I've had it designed twice, and it's okay, but I have dreams of it becoming like Cinderella at the ball, because I want it to look beautiful, and it's not beautiful. It's okay, but I do have some good stuff that's on the website. Just don't judge it or look down because it's not beautiful. It doesn't have all of its makeup on right now.
I will tell
That's
you,
fine.
I just
I understand.
redesigned my website, so I understand. It took me about 3 months, and I'm still not happy with it.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years work on my website.
For 3 years. So we understand that. But so do you think maybe, I know that you said that you have Tice's story is you have do you have extra excerpts from the book on the website, or will you?
Not right now, because it included in my contract with my publisher is if I have anything that's related to Unravel, I need to give first choice to my publisher. But there's a few things that are happening right now that I can't really discuss. Yeah. So I don't know what's happening. So it's a little bit of a waiting game, and so that's why I'm taking care of other writing stuff right now. So we'll see what happens. And it's because it's a short story. I don't know. But I'm letting you know that there is more. There's more in the world, and I hope to be able to share with you in the future.
As soon as we see that you have more, we will be adding it. And Desi and I both have a book list of books that have deaf and hard of hearing characters. We have link trees in our bio, so we have book lists there. So as soon as we see that you have more, we'll be adding that to our list of suggestions for people who want to read books with those kind of characters. And honestly, I love finding books that have good deaf, hard of hearing representation, because it needs to be treated normally. It is normal. It is not. You just can't hear. they're not, they shouldn't be just looked down on and pushed aside because they're deaf and hard of hearing. So I love seeing that more and more books have good representation. Desi and I got to do a deaf sensitivity read recently, and that's really been enjoyable to see that more deaf and hard of hearing people are being reached out to do the sensitivity reads. And so we are so thankful that you created a world and a story, and we'll have more stories, more books that have deaf and hard of hearing characters that we can follow. And I love that the next one will have, low vision too, and that he's like having an experience where he has to learn to accept it. So, So
thank you, Amelia Loken, for joining us tonight. We're going to close. Any last comments for us?
I think we're lagging again. Yeah.
How is it lagging?
So if you have anything else you want to share, like where we can find you, or like a newsletter we can sign up for, anything, just let us know. We'd be happy to promote to the Definitely Readers book club.
Oh, thank you. Well, right now I don't have like a newsletter or anything right now, because as my book was published, I was in the middle of school.
Yes.
So I was like, anything I don't need to do, I'm not gonna do. So I just kept it to the book and then some advertising, with social media. But I don't post a lot on like TikTok. I got a little bit burned out with that because I had been posting a lot of videos on there, and I was done. It's a good place for me to watch, but for me to be making content all the time, it was exhausting. I enjoy Instagram. I don't post as often right now because I am really just immersed in trying to finish up this book that I'm writing right now. But I do post sometimes, and I enjoy sharing other authors that I have links with, so I can share some of those. And then I enjoy going on Threads, which is kind of similar to Twitter, and it's like early Twitter. That's what it reminds me of, and so I'm enjoying it. It's a really friendly place for book people right now. And you hear all of the tea that's being spilled. Sometimes you hear about like the bad behavior, but it's always a warning of what not to do as an author. So you can like watch and observe and like, okay, lesson learned. Don't do that.
Okay, so thank you again for joining. What will happen next is I will be downloading this live, and I will be adding captions, and then we'll put it on YouTube. And Amelia, I will send you the link if you want to. So if you want to, I will probably add it to my Instagram. I think Desi will add it to her Instagram, just so that if people missed here, they can go and watch the full chat, and it'll have captions and obviously signing and voiceover. So we'll be good for all access.
I love it.
And I want to say that
I hope you keep writing and reading so we can read your stories.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you both inviting me and reaching out and contacting me. This has been a new experience for me with having a deaf community audience, and I have really enjoyed that. I've been looking forward to this for the past few weeks as I knew that this was coming up, and it just touches my heart because I enjoy that my hearing friends and family and other people that are out there are reading it and experiencing deafness for the first time in a book. And I think that's wonderful, and I want to continue doing that. But for me to be able to really connect with people who have similar lived experiences, who are hard of hearing, who are deaf, that's amazing. And so I appreciate you two connecting with me and making this possible. Thank you. I am truly just thrilled. This is the best. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have enjoyed like every minute.
Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome.
And thank you to the audience, all who have watched and joined us. Thank you for being involved.
And for comments.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are going to say good night. And if you've not read Unravel, go get it. Read the book. It's about a deaf princess who has an adventure, who learns to accept her deafness, who learns to accept her magic and her wishes. And the author is here, Amelia Loken. So thank you.
Thank you, and you're absolutely welcome.
Have a wonderful night.